Check 1 2 1 2. It's Introspective Thoughts, and you know what we came to do. What's good, people? We are back with another episode. Back like the passenger seat with your niggas sitting in. I know I've said that for like the last 5 episodes, but I enjoy saying that for some odd reason. It's funny to me. But welcome back to another episode of Introspective Thoughts. I am your lovely host, and I have another great and special guest on this here platform with me. I have another one of my tribe members here. And I don't know, y'all. He came to talk game, and like when we talked with Arthur Charles about I versus we, you might want to get your pen and paper ready for this one, cause it's about to be some good knowledge dropped up in here. Hopefully you enjoyed last episode with Leanna Pearson. Hopefully you went and supported her page. If not, I will put the stuff out once this episode dropped, so you can go support her and her Fruit of My Ancestors apparel company, because we support Black businesses around here. And if you ain't know, now you know, because it's Mike's Super Short Show. Shout out to the Disney kids that grew up with me. But anyway, so as I said, we have another special guest on here. Welcome to the show, a tribe member of mine, one Mr. Shakeem Bey. Give it up for this baby.
How you guys doing, man? How you doing? How is it out there right now? You know, man. I mean, it's raining for me, so but this is a very mellow, meditative, introspective. You know, so that I think that is why it was moved from yesterday to today. Yesterday was a bit gloomy for me. Today is, even though the sun isn't out, it's not gloomy today.
Yeah. Nah, I feel that like it's pouring down raining in the DMV metro area, and the exact same thing that you said. I'm like, my energy was just off yesterday, but now I'm just like, I'm in a whole different space. Like it's let's get it popping, let's get it moving, let's get it grooving. So, but yeah, man, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to finally get you on here, because we've been talking about this for like weeks at a time, y'all. Y'all don't understand. This has been weeks in the making. But as he said, we had some things to come up, but we here. That's all that matters. So before we get into our conversation for today, which, like I told y'all better have your pen and paper ready, because mine is ready. It's over here, which I probably taking notes on my phone too, but whatever. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Sir Shakeem. Tell the people about yourself, what they need to know. What's good with you? Why go on?
I'll keep it pretty short. I don't want to think of myself too important. I don't even like to think of myself as a teacher. Like, you know, we all live in this game of life together, and I think that what I offer is just something that we all can share together, because, you know, we pass this information along to each other to help each other, you know. So I would like to think of everybody as my peer, as far as, you know, in that sense. I don't want to say, oh, I'm a teacher. I am actually, to be 100% truthful with you, I'm a failed rapper, a part-time philosopher, also a part-time IT tech customer supporter, a full-time metaphysics, also a full-time esoteric scientist. My one of my favorite hobbies is I am a medicinal botanist. What else? So, you know, if you any kind of weeds that you may be trying to bring to the market to see if they're good, I'll put my information in. It's Swisher Shock. I mean, I know Shakeem Bey, that, you know, that is my actual name, but Swisher Shock is my inner child. I feel like that inner child that I've always wanted to be. You know, I don't want to feel like that I've let that diminish. I know that is my Twitter handle and my Instagram, my social media, but that's also, my social media is also where I like to have fun. So I like to think of Swisher Shock as my inner child, and Shakeem Bey is the protector in a sense. So all that I am. I guess you would put me in a jack of all trades. I don't want to say that I'm anything. I take an interest in everything that I've kind of come into contact with, where I just let my spirit guide me wherever I may go. You know, how we was talking earlier about you being a Rolling Stone. That's how my spirit moves. Like, you know, I'm a spirit having a human experience. You know, so that's how I curate my day to day. I don't think of it as, oh, this is the time. We don't know anything about time. Horace made hours. Right, that's cool, but that's what he was known for. He would come back and then he was set. You know, that's a little bit much for right now. But how you doing though, Charles?
Man, I'm good. I am good. You know, and like I said, I'm grateful to have you on here. It is interesting that you say that you're a jack of all trades, because one of my monikers is the chic of all trades. You know, as you said, uh, Swisher Shock is your inner child. Chic is my higher self, and you know, the chic of all trades. I like folks they're watching, they know me. They know I have my hand in everything. You know, I'm working on a doctorate. I'm teaching, an educator. I cook my ass off. I bake my ass off. I read people's lives through, tarot oracle cards. I do this. I do some of everything, man. So it's good to have another jack of all trades on here. Shout out to all of the jack of all trades, because we need some good representation, because niggas would tell us that we ain't shit and we ain't got no focus and we don't know what we doing and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, this is what makes us happy and what makes us good and what keeps us pushing. So, but like I said, fam, I'm good. I'm grateful to have you here, and let's go and get into some good conversation. Now, today's episode is not going to be a one-track mind episode, as y'all can see already. If you watched Kanye's Joe Rogan interview, that's what this kind of conversation is going to be about today. We just going to just shoot the shit and just kind of let it flow. Wherever the spirit moves, that's where we going. Because, I get to talk to my tribe member. This is like my brother, for real, y'all. Like, we get to talk like how anybody that knows me personally, y'all know me, drunk, sober, or high. Like, y'all know I just talk. That's just me. That's what we getting ready to do today. So we're gonna title today's topic "Mixed Bag" episode. So whatever comes up is what comes up. But I want to start this conversation off with, because here's the thing, y'all. The way me and Shock met, right, was on social media, which I find myself doing a lot. I found myself doing a lot as of recent, like over the past, we'll say, month at this point. I've met probably like 5 or 6 people through social media, where I've like instantly connected with them because of their thoughts, because of their beliefs, because of their ideas. And oddly enough, people may say that this is not a possible thing, which I call bullshit, through their energy, because I'm a very sensitive person, and especially when it comes to energy, I hit certain spaces in certain places. But I feel people's energy, through the social media, especially if you are a genuine person. I can tell it's not that difficult. But how we ended up connecting and how we got on this topic, or got connected in a sense, was that we were having a conversation about sex and sexuality. And then that conversation ended up turning into government and CIA type shit to do with some of y'all favorite civil rights leaders. And then that shit turned into something else. And then come to find out, like last week, this man literally helped me with the paper that I've been writing for my doctoral program about school funding, because I need to know about tax law and shit like that. Because I just need y'all to know that the government's getting over on y'all asses and y'all don't recognize it. But that's okay. Because the way this shit planning out with this presidential election, you'll find out very, very soon. Just wait on it. When this comes out, you might know by then. We'll see. But so with that being the case, I kind of just want to start talking about this conversation. Just start off where we started off, right? And where this conversation kind of got kicked up was that there's this idea of semen retention, right? And this has been something that's been on social media, or at least my timeline, for the longest. I would say for more of the better part of the year at this point, at least since the pandemic started, right? Where people were saying like, oh, you need to retain your semen because of X, Y, and Z, and blah, 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 blah. Now I'm being real with y'all. Me, in my household, we can't do that. I ain't saying we can't because we don't want to, but I realized a lot about myself. It ain't for your boy. Now, for everybody else, by all means, go for it, do what you do, whatever floats your boat, right? So my first question to you, Shaq, is like, because you had to hit me onto this and like what the importance was, and you kind of even gave me like a metaphysical kind of example behind it, and even an esoteric and biblical, meaning behind it. What is the purpose like of semen retention? Like, why is there such a thing that people are like saying we have to do this and this is a needed thing, in order for we as men, I guess, to elevate and to get to the next level?
All right, so as a recovering porn addict, I guess you could say, because I had an issue too. So it was really what it was me just searching for what made me feel depleted. What was hindering me from even wanting to do things. Like I didn't have a motivation. Even and now I had a vision board, and now I'm still I'm saying, not, I don't want to say prayers, but I'm saying what I see on my board every day. I'm saying it all the time, but not really understanding why these manifestations aren't coming to pass. So, and like, I'm more of a reader and not a doer. I probably would have found it a lot sooner if I would have just did it. If I would have just looked inwardly and I found it that way. And I would have found it that way, but I didn't trust myself. And that's a lot of what happens to me as far as this. I didn't trust myself. But once I got to the bare root of it, was the semen has a lot of nutrients in it that we necessarily need, and to keep into us specifically. Every 29 and a half days of semen retention, it is all of the minerals that are saved up. So just imagine now, like, you already are supposed to save the semen or the seed. And now you are eating how you're supposed to, at least as you're supposed to, like as the best to your ability. I'm not saying, oh, if you got a cheeseburger one time this month in this 29 and a half days, that your seed is bad. But it is a strict regimen to an extent, because you can't have liquor in that extent either, because a lot of the seed is traveling to your pineal gland, and the more that it's eroded by what you ingest, what you intake, the less potent it is once it reaches your pineal. So it can reach your pineal after the 29 and a half days, but everything that you take in, and even down to the things that you read, like, the knowledge that you take in, everything is being consumed. And this all travels on to you, because even if you are, and I'm not sure how true it is because I haven't gotten to this area of discipline, but they speak on being able to reach the climax and then reach back, where you pull it back, and that can help with your eyesight. And it's like, okay, I need glasses, my brother. I know I ain't wearing them right now, but I need glasses. This is a perk for me. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention, once I started to look at it this way, where I need, like, because even when I was, because I did do it still, like from the last time that we spoke, But now I look at the act where I need to be in service because I'm not trying to discharge my service. All right, so it's like, all right, so now I'm looking at innovative ways to please, my partner at this point. So she can help me by not reaching that point. Essentially, that's basically what that does for me personally. So you kind of got to figure out what it works for. But there are all medical benefits to, and it's like, it goes back into your bloodstream, like, because it has to go up, it builds up. That's what a biblical allegory, and like we were talking about the Bible, Moses being the first seed, first son, represents that first seed when you're 12. Pharaoh represents, remember this, Pharaoh went to go kill the firstborn, the first seed. He went to go kill them all. And that essentially is the story, because he now had to wade the waters, so get through this battle and persevere, make sure that he made it, and now he's up the Jordan. The Jordan represents the bottom of your spine. Gomorrah, what is the other thing? Because it's an allegory for your lungs. Your lungs are like air ducts. That's why they are like arteries. Your arteries are the air ducts. That's what that stands for. Is it Samora? I can't remember right now.
It's a side more. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that represents the like back here, back on the back of your neck. That's the entry point to where now that seed has to come up to the pineal gland, and it crosses the christened. That's where it christened, the christened point. And then it reaches your pineal. And this all happens in a 29.5-day period. Like, because I also like to ask people, or even ask you, do you know how your blood flows? Like, could you adequately right now tell me how you are controlling the flow of blood in your body right now?
I can't even ready to answer that question, because I never even thought about that, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I just know based off of biology and what I was taught in 9th grade, when you breathe in, you breathe out, the blood pumps in one side, pumps out the other side. That's about all I can tell you. But as far as like the direction and the flow in which it goes, like, I can't really even tell you what that is, like, besides, like, when as far as like, except for in terms of like an erection, like that, in the sense, like, blood flows go straight to penis. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I can't even tell you, because
But that's the thing. So it's like, you can't really question how the semen goes back into the blood if you couldn't even tell me how your blood moves around anyway. You know what I'm saying? So but that's the whole thing. So after that 29.5 period, that it builds up, it has to spill over. I think that was the question that you asked. So what happens to it? It has to spill over. It has to shoot up. It only can go one other way. So it has to travel up, and that's why it travels to your pineal gland. It travels upward, up your spine. That is raising your kundalini. Like, bring back another Moses allegory. When Moses goes to speak to the burning bush is blue. And that is why they make the distinction to say that it kept burning. It was burning the whole time, because that it was the kundalini fire. That's all that meant, was that he was raising his kundalini fire, and that is the stored energy that we have, that we all have, that it's basically potential energy. We make, like, just like a stove, we turn it on the same way. Like you were talking about, even breathing. We don't even do that right. Involuntary like doing it, we don't even do that right. As far as breathing, and I I've come to slip into my best meditation when I only think about breathing correctly. Like, just let me just breathe correctly. Like, and it's always and it's a diaphragmatic breathe, and you breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. And it's like you don't really think of it that way because you become a breathe through your nose, out through your nose, breathe through your nose, out through your nose. You only doing one pathway when you shouldn't even be doing it doing it that way. Like, you can even take it a step further, and now you lock your tongue behind your teeth. Breathe through your nose when you do it, and exhale. Now and release your tongue when you exhale. Now you doing it in that heavenly circle. When you start to do your meditation, that's just at the beginning of it. This is when you start to fuck with your Tai Chi. We still talk about semen retention here. So as you are retaining all of this energy, this heavenly energy at this point, your meditations grow. They grow every day, every day. I like to say to myself, not even to myself, because I don't like to restrict it to being in my head only, because then if I say it in my head, it's not actually true. Look up what abracadabra means, and you'll understand why words are spells. And so every day I look at trees, and then I just be like, why are we so wealthy? Shout out Arthur Charles. Why are we so wealthy? And I don't ask that question with the intent to answer it or even have an answer, find an answer. I don't have one. I don't look for one. Really what it is me associating this question with the beauty in which I see. So now that I see this magnificent piece of art, and I'm asking this question, my brain only knows this magnificent, beautiful piece of art with this question. So now I'm only bringing in that type of energy when I think of that. I'm only thinking of beautiful things when I'm thinking of why I am so wealthy. It doesn't matter if it's you talking about me now, I have a whole boatloads of money, because that is not what me personally, what I've run into. I've become a lot more prosperous in my day-to-day life. I don't want to sell anybody a dream like, oh yeah, nigga, I be finding like $200 every day on the ground. Nah, I don't want to say that. I don't want to get nobody hopes of even think that. I used to, because even just in the little talk that we had, I used to move in the planetary hours. Now I am the planetary hours. I control when the planetary hours are. It's not even that I have a subconscious like, oh, all right, this is when this time is done. This is when this is. That's it now. I know when this is, but now this is when it is, because I said that it is. And I move better that way now. It's like I've been able to channel that energy of moving it that way, and I'm just being in tune with all of my senses. And it's not just I don't just see, touch, hear. I don't, I'm everything. Like I'm clairvoyance. Like it's everything. You got to put all of the senses together here now. Especially when you talk about semen retention. This is how you start to manifest different things on different planes. In the spiritual realm, things start to come faster to you. Like 2 moons ago, I had asked for my money to work for itself. So what started to happen was I started to make little investments and if spirit was saying that this investment wasn't right, then I wasn't taking them. So I started taking little investments and made really good ones, especially when it came down to it and I was going to need it for the Cali trip, for instance, like, because I make my own money. Like I go to work when I want, and if I don't want to go to work, that's just what it's going to be this day. So that's just it. So I do have to rely on what I need to do for myself. you know, as far as making any type of money. So the last moon was I need better asset management, because it just, all it did was just evolve. That manifestation that I was working on the moon prior just evolved to what I'm asking for now. And all that was the clarity of me retaining what I would have lost post clarity if I would have used it in that millisecond of panic or that millisecond of anxiety. I channel that energy to go somewhere else. And that is where this sexual transmutation comes. It's not like, oh, let me think of this and I'm gonna get this. So it's like, nah, it's like it's a process of how this goes. Like you also have to be practical. And I also want everybody to keep in mind that what works for me isn't gonna work for you, because everything really is like, I'm gonna fake it till I make it. So even if if it's not working, I'm gonna carry on like it is working. And I think that's where a lot of times a lot of people do become delusional, because it's like, it's not working. And so you do have to be 100% with yourself. I don't think that I've come to that point, because I can give you examples. So as long as that I can still give you adequate examples where they don't sound like excuses, then I know that I'm fine. But the moment they start sounding like excuses, then I know that we not on the same track. And I think that that's the biblical references for semen retention. Even when John the Baptist baptizes the seed, basically making it what it is. That's where the seed starts. You know, that's because what was he? I think he was 12 when that happened. And that's when you baptize the seed, and you know, you make it holy for what it's worth. And that's why I don't want to say that's why John the Baptist was sacrificed, but it kind of makes sense in the sense of everything. Because you know, when Jesus was on the cross, when you cross something, you crossing it to make it better, you know. And that was what that meant. That wasn't supposed to mean something of, I guess, torture or pain. I'm crossing self to be better, for myself to be better. And that's what semen retention is crossing the skull of Gomorrah, or skull of Goliath. Goliath also is David and Goliath also is an allegory for semen retention. The Bible is a big allegory for semen retention. Bible is a bunch of allegories, actually. Genesis 32 verse 30 talks about the pineal gland. You know, talking about Mount Pineal. I think that's what it's called in the Bible. They talk about the pineal gland. So a lot of allegories of what they be talking about. You just gotta read through it. That's why I'm thinking these secret societies are in place for a reason. Everybody not ready for that. You're not ready to unplug. I personally not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna believe that because you said it. Personally, I'm gonna go look up what you said. You know, like, damn, that nigga was right. And then, like, I used to get to a point where I couldn't admit when somebody else was right. Now it's like, oh no, you was right, and I can even tell that person that they were right, and just admit it to them. And even if I was wrong, I apologize. Like, and that goes a long way. Not even for them. That's not. And I want people to wholeheartedly understand, when you do those type of things, that is not for them. That is 100% for you. Because once you do it right then, right there, it's gone. Because if I'm mad at you, like, so say if you do something that make me mad, right? I know this is where I get off, but after this, I'm gonna just make this point, and that's it. But like, say if you make me mad, right? I have 24 hours to either address it with you or let it go. Because what it is, once I either address it, that's it. So now we spoke on it. We came to the conclusion. We gonna proceed, or we just not gonna be friends. Cool. That's whatever this gonna be. That's what it's gonna be. But if I choose not to speak on it, I never can speak on it ever again. So if somebody else over here, they come along and they be like, oh yeah, I don't like that nigga Charles. Hey brother, I remember like 2 weeks ago that nigga owe me money, bro. Fuck that nigga. Like nah. You feel me? Like you can't do that. That's whack. You know what I'm saying? So everybody got a 24-hour period to be upset. You know you are right. You are 100% in your right to be upset if you are wrong. But after that 24-hour period, you are 100% in the wrong. Just want to say that.
No, that's good to say that though, and you hit on a lot of different things here, and I definitely want to keep it in this same vein of biblical allegories and things like this, because I found the original, conversation that got all of this started, right? But I also want to go back real quick. I want to go back to, the piece with semen retention as a whole. What I got out of all of this, because I'm sitting over here just kind of thinking and like processing things that you're saying. What I got out of that is that the purpose of semen retention is not just to hold the seed back in order for it to like travel up the spine, but it's also to be a lot more conscious in the way that you move and the way that you do things, right? Because as you were speaking, like you brought up the idea of manifestation and the term abracadabra, which literally means, I speak, I create as I speak, and a lot of people don't understand that, like you said, words are spells. They rip B.O.B. to shreds when he said this shit, even though he literally was not lying when he said it. But a lot of people don't understand, like people are starting to get it now, but a lot of people don't understand that when you speak something into existence, or you write it down, or you are like, even if you're just happy, mad, or whatever, you're just trying to express yourself, all of that has a tendency to manifest itself because it's all energy. Like, I think it was Newton who brought up the law, said, law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's only redirected and redistributed. Like, what you speak is not necessarily being created, but you're putting that energy towards that thought process and that idea. And so as far as semen retention is concerned, like a lot of people, and I'll speak for myself on this, most niggas just beat off just to get a nut off. Like that was me back in the day. But now I use it for magic purposes and to manifest things into my existence, because I mean, sex as a whole is literally a ritual of creation. People don't see it as that and just be going out and fucking whomever breathes and walks across the face of the planet, regardless of what your preferences are. People just take that as an act of just, oh, I'm just gonna do it with this person just so I can, fulfill a bodily need or a want per se. And so it's just interesting that you brought it up and that you put it in that format, because that in itself would make anybody more conscious, or at least should make any man who is, thinking about participating in it or participating in No Nut November or whatever, what have you. It makes you be more conscious of where you put your energy and how you use your energy and what you give your attention to. Because I'll even say for myself, there's been plenty of times, like I can just tell you, and I'm telling everybody my business. I mean, I do anyway on Twitter. Why not put it on wax, But for me personally, like when the I want to say full moon comes around, I mean, you call me Zeus because I'm running around trying to get to everybody and everything. Now, do I do that? No, because I don't like people that much. But I've gotten to a point where I've had to take that, that sacral chakra energy and not, push it down and suppress it, because that doesn't solve anything. But take it and transmute it and use it in different ways. So if I'm, let's say, writing a paper at that point in time, I'm gonna take that energy and I'm gonna click this keyboard until something comes up, Or if I'm cooking, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the energy into, making a healthy and well-balanced meal. If I'm, teaching something or somebody, I'm going to take that energy and put it into research and try to figure out what it is that you need in order for me to, or in order for you to understand what it is I'm talking about. And so I appreciate your stance or your viewpoint on it, because now that makes me more conscious about, what I give my energy to, especially now that I'm in this space of like being cognizant of what I say and what I do and what I manifest. Because I'm sorry, I don't know about everybody else this past year, this year was going good until about September hit, like August, September hit. And it's like I crashed into a wall. But what I didn't realize is that me crashing to that wall was, number one, providential, because that's what I needed in order to get to where I am right now. But two, it was also a product of me speaking a lot of negative shit into my existence, and all of it just kind of came to a head. But I also want to go back to the portion about the Kundalini, right? Because, and then I want to get to, this original topic of conversation is still in this realm of, sex and sexuality, right? But this idea of the Kundalini, right? And you say it's the energy that, travels up your spine. Can you describe what that feeling feels like? Because I have an idea of what it may be, but I'm not 1,000% sure. And I'm pretty sure people who are watching it or listening are probably wondering the same thing. Like, first of all, what is the Kundalini energy? And second of all, like, how do you know that it's traveling in your spine into your pineal gland? I know that was a loaded question, but yeah.
I can't really speak on what it feels like, because I don't think that I've actually felt it 100%. And the reason why I don't think that is because I don't think that I've practiced retention long enough to feel that. I just kind of, just started to get on to that energy. The best way I think to describe it is potential energy. Is basically potential, essentially. And it's what you can do, and it's almost like a dream in a sense. That's what I like to think of it as, anyway. Because whatever I use that energy with is what I create, So as I raise that energy is what I create with that energy. So it's almost like the dream, because like when you're in a dream, whatever you think of happens in the dream. Like almost, well, for me, literally, whatever I think will happen in the dream. So I usually try to not think of anything, to kind of let the dream manifest in itself, because it's like, and I even, when I come back to, I guess, this real world, I'm even weary of that, of trying to curate my thoughts, because I know whatever I think of can happen, but not really knowing the difference between, I mean, you know the difference between the dream world and this world, when it's like, which one is real for real? And so that's why I associate it with that. And I think that the more that you retain it, the higher and more powerful that potential energy becomes. So I don't want it to be where it's like, oh, I got a month in, or 29 and a half days in, so my Kundalini fire is at max. It's not. It's actually at max, I think. Is it 36? I think it's 36 seeds. 36 seeds on the leap year is 37. That's where you get that's why we have the 29th day. And it converges that way. Because March actually starts the month or the year. The Romans put on January and February, but that's March starts the year itself. And that's why it's ruled by Aries. That's the head. Aries is always, when you think of Aries, it's always it's the top, it's the head. I don't know if you know that astrology actually, a lot of people that how we know astrology, it comes from Semen Bey. They put his work into the Library of Congress. Um, he basically gave us the blueprint on what astrology is, and it's just been remixed, re-rocked into everything that we know mainstream astrology for, or we just kind of we lump it into basically when when I see it on Twitter anyway, aside from a few people that really know what they're talking about, it's like it's just like they're just talking about generalizations, essentially. You know, that's why I try to, at least if the questions that you ask me, I won't try to generalize them. I try to tailor the answer to my experience of it. Because if I try to say, oh, this is what it is, then somebody is automatically can disagree with what I'm saying is, instead of saying what I say is for me. Because you can't tell me what is for me. I only can tell you what is for me. So it'll be what everybody, their personal experience of this. But from what I take away from from what Kundalini is, and from at least from what I've read of it, to come to my own opinion of it, I think that it is potential energy that I haven't been able to harness as of yet. And that's just being real. And I don't know if it's because I have certain blockades, because it is, and that's why I started to get into yoga a little bit more, because I don't know if my energy is being blocked because of that. So I choose to realign myself to my best self, I think. And once I get to it, I think that I'll be able to, a little bit more accurately explain that to you. But right now, I think that I got a lot of chi blocks, and that was another thing I've got to in the book that I'm reading about. How to get my energy to where I want it to be, is that I might have chi blocks. And that's where the yoga comes in. I'm trying different yoga techniques, but it has raised my energy. Like I was saying earlier today, if I don't do any hip exercises or any stretches, period, I feel like I have a bad day. I just don't. And I think that has a lot to do with posture and just the subconscious slouching. Me being in my seat, and now I'm slouching in it because I didn't stretch. So now my body language is I'm a slouch. I'm slouching. I'm lazy. I'm not active, So I think that has a lot to do with semen retention too. I think because it's just energy. It's just all of it is energy. And like you said, you do have to be weary of your energy. And I think that you should really look into it as far as what it is, because I think necessarily what I can do for you is to give you my opinion on it, because I think that that's what teachers or even educators are essentially, or somebody who is opinionated, well, not opinionated, somebody who's educated on the subject, who's given the opinion or their interpretation of the subject. So my interpretation of this subject could be different from the interpretation that you come to, and that's okay, because now we could now talk together, and you can tell me your interpretation and I tell you my interpretation. And for the inquisitive minds, we usually come to an understanding where it's like, okay, no, this is not what this is, but this is what I feel like this is what this is. And no, but I don't think that that's what this, that, and it's something similar to that, and that's how you would really get to your answer. So I think essentially, um, I don't know. I mean that kind of sounded like that I was justifying my answer, but but that's the conclusion that I've come to.
No, it's good. No, it's fine, man. Like, and that's completely understandable, you know. And I think with that, it's very what's the word that I'm looking for? It's noble, and very full of wisdom. That, you know, as you said earlier, you know, if you that you can admit that you're wrong or that you don't know anything, and I think that's a very that is a very advanced way of thinking that a lot of people don't have nowadays. You know, a lot of people ain't excuse me, ready, willing, and able to admit when they don't know something or when they're not sure of a topic. But I definitely do just want your opinion, you know, as far as like what that was like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for me, I think I've experienced it, but I don't think I've experienced it in the context of semen retention, because that's something that, again, is still new to me. Like, again, for like the better part of the year. But there has been an experience in which that I've had where I would be sitting in meditation and I would just feel like an electrical impulse, you know, shoot up from the tailbone up to, you know, the top of my head. And of course, at one point in time, I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't think that's what that is. Because at one point in time, I think I was like, I think I was 10 maybe, where I fell down the steps and bruised my tailbone. And I mean, like, bruised it bad to the point where I couldn't sit straight in a chair for a couple weeks. You know, I thought it was broke at one point in time, but I'm like, well, if I can keep walking, then it clearly ain't broke. But I don't think it ever healed up properly, because there are times where I would feel like a sharp pain in my tailbone where it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute, I'm sitting wrong, something ain't right. But it wasn't that. It was like, how can I describe it? It's like if you've ever felt your muscles kind of twitch in a sense, that's
Mm-hmm.
what I was feeling going up my spine, to the point where it was like, think of a fountain. Like, anytime you see a fountain, it's like a fountain that just shoots straight up, and you know, the water just sprays out everywhere type deal. You know, that was the kind of energy that I felt like it was just shooting up all the chakra points. And when it hit the crown chakra, I just felt the energy just kind of like flow into my locks, you know, and felt the energy, or felt whatever, you know, that was being released, like you said, with yoga. I just felt the energy being released, and you know, felt alignment within myself. You know, one of the few times that I felt alignment, and that in a sense made me think, well, maybe this is Kundalini energy, but I honestly can't even speak on it and tell what it is. But like you said, it's all based off of experience, and it's based off of perception and perspective. That's the word that I'm looking for. I don't know. I don't like the English language.
But that was why I was saying that I should be more of a doer, but I'm more of a reader. I need to read it, know about it, and still it's just their interpretation of what they read, essentially. So if I'm not doing it, I won't essentially know. So if like, and I want to take your example, because I can feel like I won't say a chill go up my spine, but it's almost like that I can kind of make that happen. Almost like my mind, I can feel like I almost can kind of put myself into a white bubble, because I feel I can feel it go over me. But I don't know how to really explain that. Like, you know, how do I do that? You know what I'm saying? That's like it's almost like a superpower, in the sense of I just kind of think it, and then it just happens, you know. And people were like, oh yeah, you got to protect yourself with the white light, and it was like, that's always what I've done, and I've always associated it with that, where instead of, you know, the expression chills go down your spine, chills go up my spine when I create that white light. So it doesn't go down, it goes up. So now it goes up, and it always dissipates out. I always can visualize it, do that. And I think that all of that energy works together. You feel it, you sit, you can not, I don't want to say that I smell it. I don't necessarily smell it. But I see it too. You gotta see the energy, you know. And even if you don't believe that you're seeing it, believe that you see it. Like, I see that energy. I see that white light. I know I'm creating this white light because I said so, and that's literally it. Like, I remember one time I was meditating, and my ego, I knew the difference between my ego, because I've been meditating for a little while. So I knew the difference between my ego, me, and my my higher selves, because it's not just one, because God is everything and nothing at all. That's, well, neither is everything and nothing at all. So that's why I feel good about being a jack of all trades, because neither, NTR, that's how it's spelled in Midu meter, or AKA Egyptian hieroglyphics. But yeah, so I usually feel it that way, and I really don't know how to explain that experience. It's just something that you just gotta do, something that you gotta feel that works for you. Don't tell yourself that that's not it, because it won't be it. It won't ever be it, because you said so. So whatever you feel works for you, works for you. Whatever you feel works for you, works for you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, and that's gonna be definitely one of this episode's cheat codes. So y'all make sure y'all tap into that. Whatever, because I was telling somebody this yesterday. Whatever you feel is just as valid as anything else, you know, and that's one of the biggest things when it comes to trusting your higher self and your intuition and stuff like that, is that you have to understand that everything that you feel is valid. You know, this world and this society, especially Western culture, will tell you that you have to rely on something or somebody that's outside of yourself in order for you to grow, in order for you to know, in order for you to be sure, or have some kind of safety or security. And I'm seeing the physical aspect of that just by being an academic and being an educator, because we tell people, or let me back up, one of my professors tells us that we need to develop our own voice in our writing, but then tells us we still need to have what is it? We need to have evidence of research, right? And in that evidence of research, that's still relying on an outside opinion or an outside ideology or an outside, outside source or outside piece of information in order for you to, get to some kind of understanding of something. And in that, it's like, yeah, that's dope because there's somebody that supports my idea, but it's like, why do I need somebody else to support what I'm seeing, feeling, or thinking in order for, what I say to be 100% correct? It is just because I say it is, as we said before, the term abracadabra literally says, I create as I speak. And if that is what it is and that's so, then it should just be that at the end of it all. But now I want to pivot real quick. Because I want to go to this original conversation. Again, I found I had to go dig through the messages. I was like, I don't know how we got here, but we got here. And what you originally wanted to come out here and speak about really is an interesting topic, because this is not something that, I get to have a conversation with someone in general, but and I hate putting labels on myself. Y'all know I despise fucking labels in general. But as a bisexual male, I don't get to have conversations like this with heterosexual people at all, right? And so you brought up a great point where you said something to the effect of like, how being gay or lesbian or part of the as Carlos Miller would say, the LMNOP community, which is still funny to me. I feel how you feel about it, but it's still hilarious to me. How you brought it up, like how, like, in a sense, it gives you a boost in spirituality, right? Because you face a form of adversity, or you're in the face of adversity, and you're having to maneuver through, you know, society or Western society as a whole in order to achieve whatever it is, or achieve achieve what you are supposed to do here on this excuse me, on this earth plane. And you manage to find a way to, what I always enjoy is that you find a way to tie it back to the Bible. And I enjoy that, and I appreciate that, because not only does it give the naysayers who are religious, you know, especially Christians, it gives them, it puts it back in their face to be like, no, this is literally what it's right here. It's what it says. But it also, you know, beyond that pettiness, because that's just what I enjoy. Beyond that being petty, it's also the metaphysical aspect to it that makes it even more concrete and makes it make sense. So when you brought this question up, it got me to thinking in general about my own personal experiences. And I just found it very, very interesting that you brought that up, or that this was a topic of conversation. Because for me personally, as somebody who's had to go through adversity, you know, dealing with as someone else brought it up, inviting somebody in instead of versus coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely got me to a point where I've gone through all of the hell, the high water, all of that stuff, to the point where I'm like, literally, when I tell you, can't nobody take me out of my bag right now, can't nobody take me out of my power, out of my God self power. You literally just can't do it, you know. And if you try, we're gonna have to go back to North Memphis, and you got to catch some hands. You just have to, and that's just strictly off of principle. But to all of that, my question to you, I guess, is, you know, what do you mean by all of that? You know, just to put it very plainly, you know, what do you mean by, as far as like, it gives us that it gives at least those people who identify as such a boost in spirituality? Like, what do you mean by that, and like, how does that tie to the Bible, I guess?
Because it starts for me, at least of how I see it, because I don't want to say a lot of heterosexuals are seen as normal, but they're seen as normal. You know, that's just what it is. You know, so when you're not seen as normal, now you have to figure out what's wrong. What makes me not normal? Because society standards is saying that there's something wrong with me, essentially. You know, especially like, I mean, I don't know about, I can't speak on what kids grow up now, what they think now. You know, we were about the same age. So I know how it was for us when we were growing up. I mean, I wouldn't say, like, there was a gay twin that we had in school, and everybody was cool with the gay twin, but the heterosexual one overcompensated because he thought that everybody was making fun of him because of who his brother was. So I guess that's where I'll start that with, and I think that he was the gay twin. I mean, he was secure in himself. And knowing who he was, even in a time that it quote unquote wasn't accepted, you know what I'm saying? And being okay with yourself, knowing who you are spiritually, that is it, essentially. And the heterosexuals don't really have that. They don't have that soul searching. Like, we don't, unless something invokes in us to go search for who we are, essentially, we'll be lost for a long time because there's no reason to look. You know what I'm saying? Like, society tells us that not that we're perfect, but that we're normal. So like so for somebody that is not heterosexual, you know, that they feel this way, they feel like, oh, I like the other sex. So what's wrong with me? They have to do a lot of soul searching to find out that there's nothing wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, essentially just to find that answer, like that there's nothing wrong with you, but you got to understand why society doing it too. That comes from a lot of unlearning as well, of how that happened. But you know, that's a whole different topic. And I think that you finding yourself is like, because sex is the lower part of self, so that's where it already starts anyway. So now y'all kind of already have a head start, because you look at the lower side of self, and that is where you that's where sex is. So now that's where you question yourself. So that is your ego essentially questioning yourself. Like, why am I like this? Why am I this? Why am I that? Not really coming up with a sufficient answer, because there isn't a sufficient answer to this question, because there really isn't. It shouldn't even really need to be answered. It shouldn't be a question to be poised, but it is. And once you kind of overcome that, now you kind of diminish the ego, where it's like, there's nothing wrong here. You tell the ego, there's nothing wrong here. Like, you have overcome your lower self and your ego in that sense. Even if you're not looking at it in a biblical reference or anything like that. You can, and that goes back to Genesis, one of the first books in the Bible. When they were talking about the pineal gland, I always take it from that, where where Jacob went from the bottom of the mountain to the top of Mount Pineal. Now, I always took that as he raised himself from his lower self to see, because it says that he went to the top of Mount Pineal to see God. So when you see then everybody always attribute the pineal gland to the seat of the soul, or this is where God resides in man. You know what I'm saying? So that's always what you think of, the third eye. You know, that's what you always attribute it to. So when they said that he went to the top of Mount Pineal to see God, that's the only thing that I thought of. That he raised his lower self to his higher self, and he raised it to be able to see out of his pineal gland, and that's how he saw God. Just that little passageway, that was how he saw God. So I always thought that, well, not always, but then later on, because I was one of the Bible naysayers. My evolution of the Bible went from, all right, this doesn't sound right. This, I knew it wasn't right. This is what it actually meant. This is what I should learn from it. This is how I can teach other people about it. You know, so that's how I've come to that's what my Bible journey has led me to. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of times that and this is just my hypothesis. It might not even be true, but this is that's what I think about gay. Or I forgot the phrase that you used, but that community, that they are a lot more spiritual. Even though I don't like, because a lot of them are fake astrology. I hate that so much, because then I don't even like to say that I know anything about astrology, because then people be like, oh, he was, and then I don't like, no, but I just don't like mainstream astrology. We could talk about Vedic astrology, sidereal, all that kind of stuff. I'm just getting into sidereal, so I'm not really in it. The Vedic is when we start talking about planetary hours and shit like that. Then we really can start talking about astrology. But I think that the community is very spiritual, because they do have to do a lot of soul searching, and soul searching to me is in Genesis, essentially. Not saying that, oh, all right, well, because they're gay, so it's either a sin or it's not a sin. Sin actually is not a sin. Sin doesn't even really mean that. It's not a sin, essentially, because the 10 Commandments come from the 42 laws of Maya, and the 10 Commandments don't even say anything about gay marriage, being gay, being anything of the sort. So I don't even know where that undertone actually ever really came from. I think it's only really written in the New Testament. And the New Testament is a lot of bullshit in the New Testament. And even like all of us, all of the spiritual, all my tribe, we all know that there was some off about the New Testament. We just knew it. Like we couldn't tell you what it was. We knew that something was off about the New Testament. Why the fuck they even had to write a new one? What's wrong with the old one? You feel me? So it's like, this is not correct. So like whatever, Jesus cool, but I knew what the Jesus after a while, I knew what that story was about and what that meant and what it was for. So it was like I stopped looking at it as that. But everything else, I can't even put an allegory to. It's like, all right, I don't know. You just saying women can't work. Like there's nothing here. it's you know the expression, you eat the meat and spit out the bones. This was a chicken tender, nigga. There's nothing here. Like I don't know. I don't know what they thought process was. Nothing. Like it was like, this is weird. Like, especially where you get it from. You're getting your whole basis from Comedicism. Like that is where you're getting your whole ideology from, is based off of it. If you want to talk about Ethiopia and shit like that, that's where you got it from. Ethiopia was like the way that they follow Egyptians. Like they used to try to say, oh, the Egyptians, they believe in multiple gods. It's not that they believed in multiple gods. They knew that all of the gods were the same. Like perfect one. The gods in relation to us is a paragraph is made up of sentences, and sentences are made up of paragraphs. You can't get one without the other. The other doesn't work without the other one. So a sentence that just would be a run-on sentence if it's not perfected. You don't put the commas, proper punctuations, shit like that. It's just going to be a run-on sentence. So it's not perfected, so it can't become a paragraph. That's all. So a paragraph now is just broken down. It's basically I don't want to say God broken down, but essentially that is what that is. It's like it's on a smaller scale. I am making up God. I am the little sentences making up God. And now this big body is what I represent. This is what I made up. You know what I'm saying? So that is our relation to that's our relation to God. I want to say it. I want to use that as our analogy, and that's why we shouldn't be looking outward for something. We should only be looking inward. We should only be worship. One more time. We should only be worshiping ourselves. Because when the military, when they send out warships, they're sending out warships to battle. So if I'm going to worship, I'd rather battle myself, because it's a perfected cycle. I need to become perfect. I'm not even a perfect human being, but perfect to where I know myself better than anybody else could ever be like, oh, I know how to make him mad. I bet you I can make him mad. I bet you can. I bet you all the money in the world, not even all the money, all the minerals, everything that you ever could think in the world, that you can't make me mad unless I choose to let you make me mad, because that's essentially all that's happening. I'm letting you make me mad because I am choosing to give into this energy. I am. That's how it starts. I am. I don't care about what the fuck you doing. Like, you could be talking all the way over there. I keep talking. I am choosing not to listen now. I am choosing to listen now. You see how everything starts with I am? Like, it starts and ends with me. So if I stop it, it's over. If I can let it keep going, it's gonna keep going. Abracadabra. So it's like it's just all in a different interpretation of how you look at these things. And that's why I said originally, it's all in your interpretation of these things. Like I can read the same book as you and come to a whole different interpretation. That's all. And that's all it is my interpretation of it. You know what I'm saying? So and it doesn't make it right. And that's what I like to think of it like that, because it's not even that I used to, because I'm not, and I don't like the homophobia stuff or nothing. I'm not afraid of you. It's not even that I don't understand you either. And I don't want it to come off harsh like this, because I'm like, even for heterosexuals, I don't care. You feel me? I don't care. Whatever you doing when that door closed, cool.
Go for it. Yeah.
I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say that I'm afraid. I'm not trying to understand, because I don't care. You know, so that's just what it is. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't think that people let people be people. People aren't perfect. People are just trying to live their truth, you know? And it's like, you know that. You look in the mirror and you know that image that you're trying to put on for somebody, if you haven't found yourself yet. Because there's some of us that found ourselves and we don't put on an image in the mirror anymore. But so I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you that when I said that, you felt some type of way. When you look in the mirror, you put on an image for somebody. You have a mirror up too. And you need to break your own mirror, because it's like you looking into that mirror, making you judge other mirrors that these other niggas is having up. And that's what was the easiest way for me to shatter my mirror, was to realize that I wasn't the only one with a mirror. It's like, bro, this is what you want these niggas to see you as. This is what you want these niggas to think of you when you're not around. This is what you want these niggas to speak about when they talk to you, when they talking about you, or blah, 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 whatever. However, this is what you want. This is the image that you are putting up for these people to feel about you. So how do you feel about you? And you couldn't answer that. And I'm sorry, I'm speaking to myself right now. But you couldn't answer that. And that was the whole thing. And that was the whole reason why you even found it in the first place, because you couldn't answer that question. And I was like, well, so who you got this mirror for? We know who you are. So who you showing this to? I'm like, bro, I gotta figure this shit out now, because I'm lying. I'm lying. What I'm lying about, who I'm lying to. And that made my confidence just so much better too, you know. And it's like, that's crazy that we just even talking about how gay people or you know, how they had to find themselves, how that helped me find myself, I guess, because that's essentially what it was. It was like, it's not even that I use it as an example, but I just identify with it now, because a lot of them I see that they did find themselves. I had to identify that they did find, they found their truth. They're at peace with their truth, not even just you know, as them as a whole, that part of their story, they're okay with it, but their truth, you know. And that's to me, that's inspirational, that you are okay, you are able to live in your truth. It's just the people that use it as a badge of honor, like, your sexuality is not a personality trait. Like, I like food, nigga. That's not a personality trait, nigga. You like, what the fuck? You know, that don't make no sense. Like, yeah, I'm gay. Cool. I ain't asked you that. Like, you feel me? If I was asking, like, what kind of food do you like? You know, you feel me? That's where the conversation should go. But if there's no reason for me to bring that up to you, like, I could probably know that you're gay already. Now you just turned it off. I'm like, yeah, I'm gay. I'm like, you know, that's your truth. That's cool. I didn't even know that. I'm like, I know you gay, man. You know, it's like, you know, if I was trying to come on to you in that way, then that's how we should speak on it. And I think that there's certain things that should be spoken on, because it's just misunderstandings. It's a whole bunch of misunderstandings that I think it is. And one of the other things, and I think that it was so elementary, is thinking that all gay people are interested in straight people, and that's always been a stigma. But I thought that when I was young, so I can't be mad in thinking that, but I can be mad if you're an adult and you still think that. Because when I was young, I did, yeah. I was watching the Chappelle show the other day, and I was like, damn, this was when I was in 7th grade. This shit came out. Then they came to the episode where they was asking the gay dude, and he was like, do you want to be with me? Like blah blah blah. And he, it was a heterosexual man. And then I was thinking, I was like, yo, at the time I used to think this. I used to think this. And then he made fun of him, like, no, motherfucker, like, you are ugly. I'm like, damn, like, shit.
But that's real shit, though. That's real shit, though. Like, I mean, God, you hit on. So I know the listeners like, well, damn, did this nigga disappear? Like, no, I just had to sit here and take in everything, because literally every single thing that you just said is the argument that I have been posing for God knows how long at this point, right? And not only just to people, but to my own self, like, because like I've told people before, like, and I was even thinking about this, days run together at this point. Whatever, a couple days ago, whenever the sun last came up and was sitting in the sky, whatever that was. And I was like, I really can't believe I let niggas convince me that me liking niggas was a problem. Like, I really can't believe I let you niggas do that shit. And I was saying it to myself because it was like, because to go back to what you were saying as far as a sin. Now, my definition of what a sin is to go against God. But as Badu told us, we're made in his image, so call us by our names. So if that's the case, if I'm going against myself, therefore I am sinning, because God dwells within me, right? Mm-hmm. And so, even to the point about what you said is like, we're more spiritually advanced in a sense, because we've had to come to that understanding and like really sit down and be 10 toes down in that shit. It's like everything that you saying is like not even a breath of fresh air, but it's like sitting in a cool fountain in the midst of a hot ass day, because it's like, yo, this shit's real. Like, people don't understand like exactly what you said. Like, one of the reasons why I don't just flat out just come and just that be the first thing that I tell people, because it's like, nigga, did nobody ask you? Like, what the fuck do we like? Why does it matter? Like, the fuck? Like, why do I need to know that? But at the same time, on the other end of that spectrum, one of my OGs told me this. She was like, coming out is a consistent process, because you don't know how motherfuckers are gonna respond to it or gonna react to it. But at the same time, going with what you just said, as far as like, why does this shit matter? That's literally just been my entire argument. Is like, but why does who I choose to sleep with or not, what the fuck that got to do with you? Like, what is that? Literally, what the fuck does that have to do with you? And so, I mean, I'm like literally just sitting over here, just like you hitting all the points. Like, all the points are just literally being hit right now. And I can't do anything but appreciate you for that, because as you said, like, you've had like, it's helped you get a better understanding of yourself as far as acceptance is concerned, not even acceptance, but acceptance of other people, I would say that. But as far as like, you coming to terms of you understanding like, this is shit that niggas have had to deal with. Like, I respect it and I get it, but it's also, changed your thinking. And like you said, if you've grown and still have these ideas, that's a childish ass mindset, to be quite honest with you. It's very fucking childish to me that people, still get hung up on this shit. Like, there was a video that came up on Twitter a couple of days ago where it was two black women and a man that was DJing, black man that was DJing, and they were talking about it's gay to bring your homie some soup. And I'm like, so many problems. I'm sitting there like, it's so many problems with this. So many. I don't even know where to begin to find the problem with this. Like, to start with telling you where the issue is with this. But it's like, we get to this point in this in evolution, I guess, where I feel like we get stagnant with the way that we think. Like I feel like evolution by force and by nature is progressive. And even if you don't necessarily agree with the lifestyle, the preference, I know I'm probably gonna get dragged for that, which I don't give a hot nut fuck. But you know, even if you don't agree with that in a sense or as a whole, once again, what the fuck does it have to do with you? Like and even like even as an educator, you know, we as a government teacher, we've had conversations, or I've had conversations with my students about gay marriage and stuff like that, and they've repeated those same sentiments, like, you know, this shit don't make sense, it's weird, it's this, is that, and the third. But it's like, but that's not your place to speak on that, you know, as a whole. For one, because you don't know what that experience is like, but for two, you know, what somebody else does, you know, in the privacy of their own home as consenting adults, because I would never consent to pedophilia under any circumstance. I don't care if it's same sex, you know, heterosexual. I don't give a fuck. I'm not consenting to that shit by a lot. That's just never happened, right? But you know what I have been telling people, what I've been forced to kind of get to an understanding, kind of just going back to this idea of the spiritual aspect, is that, you know, not even just on the tip of, you know, having to get through adversity, but from my own research, like being in this boat, you have more of a foot or a toe into the spiritual realm, right? And people don't understand, like, with that being the case, is like, not to say that we're necessarily more advanced, but niggas is more connected to source than folks may think, you know. And it's not by choice, you know. It's not by, I ain't even gonna say it's by force, but it kind of is by force. But but all of that to say, you know, like the points that you've been making, as far as all of this is concerned, like you hit all of it like smack dab on the head. Like I feel like I'm talking in circles right now because I don't really even have much to say or to contribute to this. But it's like, you know, it's refreshing to hear that. And I think I told you this before. You know, it's refreshing to hear that, you know, because I don't get to have these kind of conversations with, you know, straight people in general. And, you know, or even gay people in general, because none of my friends are homosexual. I'm like the only, I ain't gonna say I'm the only homosexual. I'm the only homosexual that I know out of my friend groups, you know, and, you know, or the homosexual friend of my other friends, which I'm pretty sure that's a bold-faced lie because I don't know, you know, what their friend groups look like. But all of my friends are straight per se, you know, at least to my knowledge. And so either way, on either side of the table, I don't ever get to have these kind of conversations with people where there's that understanding that, you know, what you may think is quote unquote correct or what is incorrect is going to be different from everybody else. But that doesn't mean that you have to shit on that person just so you can get, you know, brownie points or get into heaven or get eternal life or get this, that, and the third. Because even as you said, that shit ain't in the new. It's not in the I'm about to say New Testament, in the, what's fucking things called? 10 Commandments. That's what I was looking for. It's not even in the 42 laws of my eye. It's just literally not there. You know, and so when people have, you know, these dissenting ideas and want to go back to the Bible, and they always want to pull out Leviticus chapter 18, verses 22 and following, where it says something of the sort like a man lying with another man as he does as a woman is detestable. But then you also have to realize when you read that version of the Bible, it's written by or translated by a man who was a practicing homosexual. Like, come on now, like we got to do research here, people. Like, put these numbers together. The math has to math before you try to present it. It has to math. It has to come together. You know, and so, you know, just to put a nice bow on that as a whole, I appreciate, you know, you sharing that you know, that those ideas or sharing that thought process as a whole, because to me, that in itself, like you said, as far as like the term homophobia is concerned, like that term in itself is stupid because it's like where's the fear, where's the aversion? It's supposed most of it's supposed to be the aversion. The term really should be homonegativity. And I can't even remember where I read that term from, but I know it's on one of these textbooks that I got. But I appreciate that enlightening, you know, stance on it because it gives people a lot more to think about and to consider. As far kind of going back to what we were saying as far as like giving your energy, it gives you a more of a understanding of where and what you give your energy to. And like you said, you're still on that thought process where, you know, you see it as a negative thing and it literally has not a goddamn thing to do with you, you might need to go back and reevaluate your priorities at that point. Because what again? What the fuck does it has to do with you? So,
Right.
last thing that we're gonna put out, last thing that I'll post out here. Any final thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, cries of outrage for the class today? Because you put a lot out there, a lot for people to think about. You made my job editing this thing just a tad bit hard, but that's okay. Because as long as people got the information, I'm all here for it. Any last thoughts that you want to pose to the class before we get up out of here today?
You know, because another thing about, you know, I guess gay marriage. I mean, not that I opposed it, but if y'all wanted to get a part of that license shit too, then sure. I don't know why y'all want that.
Okay.
That, you know what I'm saying? You know, I guess people don't really know what the law of that states is, you know. Like, you having a marriage certificate basically is saying that the government has given you the privilege to get married. They are providing you the privilege to say that you are married to the other person. Who the fuck is that?
Like, that's the reason why I do not agree with the concept of marriage as a whole. I just don't see it because of exactly what you just said. But please finish your point.
You know, so I want people to look up a lot of law terms, really. Get a law dictionary. I know Webster's is cool. If you can't get Black's Law Dictionary is probably the best dictionary to get. Probably like the fifth edition is one of the better ones. They update it now because we got hit to it, so they try to change certain things out of it. But I think that's one of the first things to our freedom is going to come down to breaking down law and understanding it again, because we don't have, you know, we trust these lawyers, and they're not lawyers, they attorneys. They don't even know the law for real. Like they legit don't know the law for real. I wouldn't, like, how I'm addressed now by policy officers, because that's all this is. This is corporate America. So these officers are just policy enforcers. Nothing more than that. They can't do anything else. That's why you have to be a national to this land. You know, I'm not going to push that onto anybody, but everybody that knows about nationality knows that. You know, like she was up there preaching about nationality, how African Americans technically not even technically, African Americans are not a nationality. That's just 100% what it is. Like, if you don't care about nationality, then I'm not speaking to you. But if you care about that, then, you know, you can't be African and then American. Like, nigga, what? You either Nigerian because that's the country, and then you are American because that is where the country that you were born in is Nigeria, and the country that you reside on now is America. So that's why you Nigerian American. Who the fuck is an African American? How are you a whole entire continent? Jackass. Jesse Jackson did that to you. You know, I don't even want to sound like it's mean for real, because a lot of people, we really don't know that. You know, a lot of the leaders beforehand, they didn't want us to subscribe as being called Black, African American, Afro American. They did not want us to be called that, like, at all. They advised us against it. And that was one of the things, and people really do, and that's how I knew that people don't know anything about the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And that's okay, because if you did, you will understand that Kanye West was 100% correct when he said to abolish the 14th Amendment.
Talk about it.
He was 1,000% correct, because and a lot of us just don't know what that amendment really means, because we don't know about Dred Scott. We don't know about what emancipation. That's why I said got to get a law dictionary. I'm not gonna tell you guys what any of this means. You want to know what emancipation means? Look up emancipation in the law dictionary. You want to know what proclamation means? Look up proclamation in the law dictionary. Now put those two words together and tell me that you want that. Tell me that you need that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't like that. That's really what that comes down to. And it's like, why did they have to reconstruct it? The amendment, and then later amend it again, the same amendment. So what changed that they had to reconstruct it? You only have been black for 200 years. So what were you before that? You feel me? I'm not here to give you the answers. I want you feel me? 1865 was the year that you turned black. So you've only been black for about 230 years. You've been black. You feel me? So what were you like? And we've been on this planet way longer than that. So what were you before that? Where were your people before that? Because they like even Africans, and I love my African brothers and sisters, but a lot of them are uneducated too. And then they tell us, "Oh, y'all not, y'all just from Africa. Y'all was taken by slaves and like slave ships." It's like, that's not true though. Like there's something also. There's something also called. There's a book called "They Were White and They Were Slaves." You look up the origins, and we about to get to it. You look up the origins of a slave. Now, the first slaves were the Yugoslavian people. You feel me? Yugoslavian. They were the Slavic people were the first slaves. You hear what I'm saying? Like the Yugoslavian people, or the Slavic people, as they were known as it was abbreviated to, the Slavic people were the slaves, the Slavic slaves. Yes, that it was called slaves because of the Slavic people. Like, no, we're not calling you by your nationality. We're calling you by what we own you as now. You're our slave, and that's it. That's where the word slaves come from. Look at the etymology of slave. Now, that's also what we're going to have to do. Got to get into law dictionary, and then you also need to get into etymology, because you need to understand what these words, where these words came from, what they mean. Like, you can't tell me that you're black, because black is a verb. How are you going to be? I mean, not a verb. It's a person, place, and thing. It's a noun. So how are you? I'm still saying all of that wrong. It's an adjective. Black is an adjective. So how can you be black if it's a describing word? You can't be like, oh, that big person over there. Where they from? What country they from? Big, nigga. What? Like, you can't be from that. You can't be an adjective. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what we got to start at first. We looking at these definitions. We looking at how to spell these spellings. We looking at how to spell this. Like, that was another thing in school. We were hammered with spelling bees, learning the spells to these words. We don't know the magic behind these spells. Why? Like that test that we was doing that I showed you in 1893. I couldn't even pass that shit, brother. Couldn't pass that shit to save my life. I'll link it to you so you'll have it for this for this shit. But yo, I couldn't pass that shit to save my life, nigga. Like, I'm looking at it. Probably the first 3 answers I'm looking at, I got a headache. Like, all right, let me come back. I'm gonna come back to this later. Came back to it after I had, I did my did everything with it. Still trying to figure it out. I come back. I'm like, yo, I'd have got probably a fucking 14% on that shit, brother. Like, I really felt stupid. Like, I couldn't pass the 8th grade standardized test from 1893.
No, man, I feel that. I understand, cause like, yeah, trust me, y'all. I'm gonna put it down in the description box so y'all can take it for yourself. Cause he posted this on his Twitter page. Him and Arthur Charles. Again, if you don't know who I'm talking about, go back to the second episode of Introspective Thoughts, so you know who I'm talking about. But both of y'all posted. He posted a literacy test, and you posted the 8th grade standardized test. Literacy test, I knew for a fact I passed that mother flying colors, but it was more so it wasn't even what they were saying. It was like you had to think abstractly and
Yeah.
Now that standardized test, I looked at that mother was like, now what the fuck is this shit? Like, I don't. And I'm a teacher, y'all. I'm an educator, and I'm like, I don't even know what the hell they asking for. It was like, even because I'm an abstract thinker, I think, I can think in different ways to get to where I got to get to. I can finesse and finagle a game easily because it's checkers, not chess, baby. It's Chinese checkers, But them niggas was playing shit, Mahjong and Texas Hold'em at the same time. And I'm like, what? Like, nigga, who the fuck's supposed to pass this shit? Like, but that's the thing, like, so to his point, as far as like shit being fucked up, like it's that for a reason. And y'all sitting here thinking that everything is gonna be all fine and cool because you got Joe Biden as the projected winner of the president of the United States of Corporation of America. And what you don't realize is that you're finna have an egg in your face in a minute. I'm gonna just put it like my prediction still ain't been wrong yet. It just ain't coming to fruition. If you want to know more about that, hit me up and I can tell you what that is. But dude ain't lying. Like,
and the whole thing that I say about government, back to etymology, look up govern and look up name.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna do y'all a solid. I'm gonna put that bad boy right here at the bottom so you can see what that mug means. We're gonna put it up and say government. We're gonna put it up there so y'all can see what that means. Because etymology, words mean things, y'all. And I need y'all to understand. Words mean things. Okay?
It's like religion. Religion basically means to realign. That's where yoga comes back into play. Everything's all works together. The things that they separated needs to be put back together. You can't have science without math. They have to work together. So if you have something that you can't prove scientifically, mathematically, we have an equation for it to figure it out for you. If you can't figure out what this is quantitatively in nature, we can figure it out for you. So that's all it is. The Pythagorean theorem in how flower petals move. The flower of life. That's the same formula. Like, you don't believe me? You go look it up for yourself. The ancient secret of the flower of life. He basically wrote the book after the Pythagorean theorem. Just go look at that book. It's an amazing book. There was a couple of things I did want to touch on just for research purposes. That was one. I was talking about etymology and the licenses and everything. Also, the W4V, not the W4, because I know when I was working, what it was, the bank that I was working at, they didn't have my W4 on file. They was like going crazy for it too. Now I ain't really understand why they was going crazy for it, because they didn't have it the whole time. My W4, they didn't have it. Come to find out, as I start to learn tax law, I never needed to give it to them. And the fact that I was still getting paid without me signing it, because that's the thing. I would be voluntarily signing it. I didn't ever need to sign it. That's evident. I never needed to sign it. So once I voluntarily signed it, I established that I would take the tax out of it on myself. If I would have just left it how it is and then filled out the W-4V, the voluntary form, where on box 7 it says, I want you to stop withholding federal income tax from my payments. That's it. That's all I would have had to do. If I wanted my Social Security stuff, all I would have just had to just box in is 7%. Because what I'm trying to do is pay taxes as low as possible. It doesn't say that I'm evading taxes. I'm avoiding paying a high tax. That's the difference. That's the only difference. And then people be like, oh, Donald Trump, he avoided paying top dollar for his tax. Okay, yeah, because you knew the tax law. You knew the tax law. You didn't just sign. You be cool. But if you gotta read what you signing, and I did the same thing with my W-4. I just signed it. Oh, yeah, it's part of the hiring process. Let me just sign it. No, nigga, that was voluntary for you to do that. This whole time I was getting paid for a year. They would have been in trouble too. That's why they needed me to sign it, because now if I didn't sign it, they would have to take ownership, because they couldn't sell that tax to my straw man. And because now this is another episode. We're gonna have a whole nother episode, because now that I'm discarding my straw man, they have to recant everything all the business that they did in my straw man. They would have to take all of that, and they would have to oppose that tax, which is why I usually don't advise doing that while you have the job. You have to go into a new job with that, because you got to fill out an I-9, and there's a whole process that you would have to do. So I only advise that for new jobs, which are the current job. The W-4V works perfectly. You still want your Social Security. Just tell them that you want 7% W-4V. We'll link that one for you too, IRS.gov. So so you know that you're not getting fucked over. You can download it right from the IRS site. If you don't believe niggas, just give you the form. Because when you see it on your check, you'll see where your Social Security is taken from. You usually pay about 6.7. They pay you, the company matches your 6.7. You pay your Medicare, I think it's like 3.5 or some number like that, and they match it. So you losing about, what I say, that was 12%. That's 12% on the healthcare, and then about 6% on Medicare altogether. So about 18% that you losing from that. Plus, because that was also where you got to get the tax brackets at, because now I think it depends on where you are. If you're at 40, I think it's if you're making 41 or better, I think you are at 22% that you getting taxed. Anything under that, I think that's about 12. So either way, that 18% is for everybody. So you got 18%, and then you usually, because a lot of the people that I talk to, they're either at 12% or they're at 22%. I haven't ever talked to anybody that's higher than 22%. So you at the 12% plus the 18%. So they're taking about 30% of your pay every month. Well, every check. They take about 30% of your check. And when you do your AIG, at the end of when you get your W-2 back in January, usually your AIG is like almost about $12,000. It varies. I'll say from what I've seen, it goes from about 8,000 to about 13, 14,000 that I've seen personally. And that's how much that you've been taxed. That's how much that they take from you. A lot of times, a lot of these people are and if you don't have kids, a lot of these people are okay with just getting that $1,200 back. And oh yeah, You getting your own money back. The money that they taxed you to tax you again. So essentially, you just lost. You were taxed $12,000. They gave you back $1,200, and you're okay with that. You feel me? So it's like, I don't know, So it's like, and you should look up because the when they put that money into your federal, because that's also the loophole. That's why I always tell people that tax code is very ambiguous in language, very arbitrary, because they'll tell you that, because like I said, box number 7 on the W-4V tells you about, I want to withhold all federal income tax from my payments, Medicare, and you paying into the benefits. That is a federal payment. Essentially, it's a federal payment. It's it's FEIC. I'll link that to you, so we'll have it specifically. I hate all of these because I work at a bank, so I know FDIC, but it's another one. I think it's federal insurance. I can't remember what it is, but I'll link it to you. FICA, Federal Insurance Contribution Act. Federal Insurance FICA. That's it.
Eventually, it's gonna let it flow.
I knew I was gonna get it. Yeah, I knew I was gonna get it. Federal Insurance Contribution Act. That now we can even break it down. So now, like I said, I want you to stop withholding federal income tax from my payments. So with Medicare and the Social Security benefits, I think it's on there on your paycheck. It's bracket off as OEI/. It's something with an O. It's OEI/. It's that one with the slash. You've seen it before. That's your Social Security and Medicare. That's where it's going. Now, remember I said I want to stop withholding federal income tax from my payments because it's FICA, Federal Insurance Contribution. Contribution is very vital here. You have to look up what contribute. I mean, you kind of know what contribution means, but let's just get the law definition of what contribution means, and understand that contribution technically is a donation. A donation is voluntary.
Ooh, it got spicy in one This just got spicy. Because I've been trying to tell people, when you pay taxes, and I had to tell it to my 12th graders when I was teaching economics. I said, y'all, because some of y'all is knocking on, some of y'all paying taxes already, because a lot of my kids was already working. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, when y'all get to the other side of becoming legal underneath the United States jurisdiction, when you get your refund check, it's not a refund, it's a reimbursement. Right. Because they're giving you back what they owed you because you paid too much. And like you said, as a contribution, like when they talk about your 401k contribution, you're contributing, you're donating, you're putting that into that. But here's the thing, there's not much security around that 401k because if you check just the airwaves around you, that motherfucker can and will get snatched very, very soon. Like if you, because here's the thing, we are 8 years shy of the century mark of the Great Depression, of the stock market crash. And what people don't remember or people didn't pay attention to in United States history is that all of that was because of the banks and because of the Federal Reserve and because of other entities that I'm not going to name right now. If you go do your research, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. They went and told the banks, run me my money. And the banks was like, so about that, we ain't got it. LOL, then shut your doors. Because what? And with the Federal Reserve Act going into play, that's how you get what you have right now with the IRS. Because again, let me just drop this TV. Since he's dropping gems, I'm gonna drop my little rock over here. This one little thing.
Go ahead, no, let it drop from the cloud.
My little rock that I have to offer, y'all. The IRS is not a government entity. Okay, it is a privately owned. Hear me when I say privately owned entity that collects your ducats to send to the federal government. It is not a form of the federal government, okay? Just like the Federal Reserve Bank is a privately owned central bank in the United States. Y'all, if we want to go back to history, if y'all remember the First National Bank and the Second National Bank of the United States, both of those things got abolished in the late 1700s. Mm-hmm. The Federal Reserve Act was signed in 1913 by, I want to say it was Roosevelt. Not
Truman introduced the Federal Reserve Act. And
this was before he became president after World War II.
Yeah.
That shit was signed into law in 1913, y'all, and is the reason why the stock market crash happened. If you want to just see why, if you need an understanding as to why this stuff is detrimental as it is beyond the stock market, the second most powerful person in the country is the president of the Federal Reserve Bank. Technically, the most powerful person on this country is the president of the Federal Reserve Bank. Mm-hmm. Everybody always want to go after your girl 45 and eventually soon to be Biden if Donald Trump don't go through everything that he say he's gonna go through, which I mean he gonna do it.
Sure. Definitely.
But all of that being the case, like all of this is the reason why we're where we are right now as far as finances is concerned. The housing market crisis, yeah, that's part of it. The student loan bubble that's about to burst very soon, which I really hope it does, so because y'all can wipe all these student loans away, so I can essentially have gotten my education for free. You know, my education for free. All of that has to do, or if y'all, and I'm gonna link this as well, if you've never looked at the debt that the United States has accrued since 1913 out at least, all of that is because of the Federal Reserve Bank, y'all. I just need y'all to understand that it's not chess, it is checkers. Chinese checkers. Because you don't understand how the way that shit plays out. They're playing games, they've been playing games. And for y'all, as he's been saying, Shaq has been saying, the language that's being used is what's consistently keeping people in the dark. So I really hope you're taking notes as this man is dropping these gems. I mean, like, he ain't even dropping them. He's just like, and here's a gem, and here's a gem, and ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, another gem, right. I need y'all to be soaking in this information because I don't know what else to say behind this because this you got it. You keep on teaching. I'm just gonna sit back. Let me hit mute on this so you can.
But yeah, so but just to finish that that point, a contribution is a donation. So you are voluntarily making a donation to that, and you know that you don't have to. That's why I'm saying you are now saying where you want that payment to be paid to. You can avoid paying this high tax by paying it when you want to pay for it. You are cutting them out because you are asking them to stop withholding the federal income tax. So you are cutting out your employer, and essentially you are only paying the 7% into your Social Security. Your Social Security is also a fraud, but unless you're going to sign, you're going to write out, because a lot of this is writs. You have to write writs. And you have to write a writ of asseveration of coercion, and because you were coerced technically into your Social Security number. You weren't, you weren't of age to consent. You weren't even conscious enough to consent to something like, and that's the thing that I never really understood either. You can open a bank account. You can't open a bank account until you're 18, but you can open a bank account as soon as you're born. I never understood that. But essentially that is what they have done to us, and that's everybody. You don't even gotta be black to fall under that, so that's another thing. You are automatically inducted into the Social Security format, and it's like you could be working and then you pass away. You don't even get none of the money that you put in for. And the Social Security that you're putting it in for right now is going to the people that already are off of Social Security. like you're just paying them to be still off of Social Security, hoping that the next generation does that for you. But we don't have the baby boomers how they had it for the next generation. Now the generation is dwindling. So how are we supposed to even keep the Social Security going? Like me personally, I don't want my Social Security. Let me figure out how to govern myself. Like that's the government. Like I will govern self. I don't need you to govern my mental. I will govern my mental. You know what I'm saying? So that's also another reason why I didn't partake in this election. I don't need them to tell me what I can and cannot do. I know what I can and cannot do, or what I shouldn't do, more so, because I can do anything. What I shouldn't do. So that was what it was too, and I was. I don't know. A lot of people not gonna like that I say it, but Donald Trump making the executive order of natural law being the law of the land, he restoring that was a good thing for Black people that are establishing nationality on this land, because they recognize those people that they always like to say that were slave traders or whatever they were, race traders, whatever the term is, whatever, so they recognize us though. And I don't even engage in that conversation, because I thought about engaging into that conversation, and it was like, nah, this is not for those people that's still stuck there, because you got emotional, you got upset about that, and you're stuck there. You have to detach from all of this. There's no reason to be emotional anymore. Like, it happened already. This is how we do not repeat the sins of our father. Everybody has people in their family or in their tribe that has done fuck shit before. It's our job to not do the fuck shit again. I don't know. I don't understand why that would be any hard to really understand for. So that is how I move about everything. So, also this information wouldn't be for everybody because of that. So I'm okay with that. But the people that need it, look into that executive order of Donald Trump signing the natural law that adds the law of the land. He did that November 2nd, just before everything happened. And that's probably the last gesture that he did for us. I wish it was somebody that could really break it down on Netflix, like really articulate it very well. I can speak to it, but I don't think that I could ever do it justice. Not even really right now. Just natural law is nature's law, so it's back to religion as being the one that governs that particular person. So like we were saying, religion means to realign, and that was always what the more science was anyway, was to realign with ourselves, like our higher selves. That plays back for us, our nationality. It's in the Constitution. They recognize us. We have a whole week in January that they started to recognize in 2014, really because of the indigenous that they passed with the UN. But they recognize that this is our land, that this is where we are from. And Donald Trump doing that for us to reestablish nature's law, that's amazing for us. I don't think that a lot of people really understand that, that precedent. Like I said, I'll always give everybody the route to the well, but I can't make them drink it. So I won't give everybody all the information because some of this does need to remain a secret because everything can't be for everybody. Everybody's not ready for it. Everybody that's looking for it, they found it. They gonna find it. So it is what it
is. Man, and on that note right there, y'all. Wow. We gotta clap it up for you, Tom. We gotta clap it up for you. Thank you so much. And I genuinely mean thank you so much for coming onto this platform and dropping every bit of rock, gem, bar, dollar, ducat, anything that could be dropped. It's just everything. I mean, the mic could just be dropped right then and there because so much knowledge, so much wisdom, so much understanding has been given in just this time frame that even for me personally, as a lifelong educator, I'm always a lifelong learner. If you can't teach if you're not willing to learn something from somebody else, right? And
is.
so I greatly appreciate you for coming on here and sharing this information for people to get them started somewhere with research. There's a lot of stuff that's been discussed here, and if you leave here without feeling educated, without having cognitive dissonance, and without wanting to go research and go learn something new, not just for the sake of learning it, but for your own betterment and own growth, I don't know what else to tell you. So at that point, you got to do better. Where can the people find you? What's your drop your socials? Where can people find you?
My main social, like where you get my thoughts, really is on Twitter. Obviously, it's Swisher Shop, SWISHA_shop. They sniped me. They got me out of here, so that's not my original account. That's why I got the underscore. It would have been all together. On Instagram, it's still Swisher Shop, but it's all together. Instagram, you can find basically sneaker releases because, like we said, very multi-dimensional. So if you looking for like the new sneakers that's about to come out soon, how to get them, when they about to come out, like even almost down to the time. I've been 98% on shot drops. Like if there's a shot drop happening, I know that it's about to happen. So if that's what you're into and shit like that, I'm doing that on Instagram too. Swisher Shop, no underscore on Instagram. But yeah, that's really it. I'm not really big on Facebook. I'm not really doing anything else. Like if that changes, I'll probably make a YouTube channel. Depend on the reception of this, because I'm like Spirit just been telling me to just to go up and just talk, and we don't even know what we about to talk about. But I think that's why everything has always led me to be the new gatekeepers anyway, because fuck everybody gatekeeping knowledge. Like I want how accessible I just made it. That is all I want to do. I don't want to. It is a secret. I don't want to get that messed up. It is a secret for the people that don't need this information. But for those that are welcome, they're welcoming of this information and they're willing to accept it, then it will not be a secret. My hand will never be inside. It will always be over my heart where you can see it. I'm no fox. I try to be as 100% as I can. I like to show my flaws with you as you can see them. So I think Twitter is where you'll be able to see my thoughts. Where you can read my thoughts, I should say. And Instagram is where you can see them. Because I'll just move over. I'll be tweeting about Joe Biden and all that bullshit that they got going on, and then you'll see the visualization of the video evidence of all the bullshit that they got going on. So it's best of both worlds once that happened. I wish that my phone wasn't about to die because I got a lot to say. But that's why I said that we definitely going to be back for a part 2, maybe about a couple months. See what the people talking about, see what we should double down on, what we should expand on. But yeah, I definitely feel a part 2 is imminent.
It definitely will be, man. We definitely gonna have to do that. Well, y'all, I hope y'all have been blessed by this. I hope that you got what you needed out of this, and if not, you know where you can find him. You know where you can find me. Make sure you like and share this video with somebody that you think can find this of use and find this of benefit. And make sure you also subscribe to the channel for more introspective thoughts, because I got a list of people that's coming. He coming back, Leanna coming back, Arthur Charles coming back, everybody coming back at some point in time. But until next time, as always, y'all be great. Y'all stay safe out here. Wear your mask, wash your hands, do all that other great jazz. And we will catch y'all next time on Introspective Thoughts.
Peace.